And welcome back to All Access with the Profs. And as we talked about at the top of the program, Rowan football back in the postseason for the first time since 2006. As we move to Rowan Roundtable now, Rob Cunningham joined by beat writer for The Wit, Kevin Kunzman, and Rowan Television Network color analyst John Simmons. And guys, a rather unconventional final few weeks for this Rowan football team in the regular season. They lose to Cortland, their only D3 loss of the season. They get the big win on homecoming against Morrisville State. Then Hurricane Sandy having an effect on things, forcing the cancellation of the game against Kane. So Rowan with a 2-week layoff, but it didn't affect them negatively as they got another shutout win over TCNJ to end the regular season.
Yeah, definitely unconventional to say the least. Anytime, like you said, a bizarre turn of events that you actually had to cancel a football game. I mean, my heart goes out to anyone affected by it. From Kane, I know a buddy of mine actually plays there, and his home got hit pretty hard. But yeah, it was a game that I'm sure the Profs were looking to play too. It would have been a statement game against the defending champs that unfortunately they didn't get to play, but they did get to rebound against TCNJ. They essentially got another bye week, another rest week to come back against TCNJ, and then they shut them out and they made that statement game against TCNJ instead. So.
Another thought is that that was actually Rowan's last home game, so for the seniors they can end with a homecoming, that big win against Morrisville State, but I'm sure they're wanting to go out and prove. And speaking of Corsi, during the hurricane situation, he was very concerned about how this would affect their at-large bid, everything going into the playoffs, but obviously it just helps out in the long term having this extra week.
Yeah, you spoke about that being their last home game. They lost senior day. That King game was going to be senior day, so the seniors lose that. But their last home game is a big victory over Morrisville State. And I think the cancellation of the King game actually helped them because it gave them one less chance to lose, basically, in my opinion. So now they get the draw at Salisbury. They have to go to Maryland on Saturday for their first playoff game in 6 years. Seagulls were a top 10 team a few weeks ago, lost to Ithaca, but still finished in the top 15. Only 2 losses all year to Wesley and Ithaca. It's going to be a tough matchup for them.
Yeah, and the big thing to look about those 2 losses is that they've only lost both those games by a combined 17 points. So really this is a team that's a high-scoring offense. They average almost 300 rushing yards per game, 35 rushing touchdowns on the season. It's going to be a very high-powered offense against a sturdy defense. So.
It's going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be, and Coach Corsi probably agree with this. He's a coach that likes to, he goes by the theory that the games are won and lost in the trenches. It's going to be a hard-fought football game between the 2 offensive and defensive lines. And like Kevin said, the offense, the rushing offense for Salisbury is an extremely high-powered rushing offense. They outrushed their opponents nearly 3-1 throughout the season, but their passing offense is what is going to bring them down, if anything. If this does get into a shootout where they're going to need to pass the ball, especially maybe late in the game or late in the half, their passing offense is their one weak point on their team.
Absolutely. I think this is going to be a carbon copy of the Cortland game in that their strength is their run game. The Profs were able to shut down Cortland's run game and force Chris Rose to beat them. The only problem is Chris Rose did just that. He was able to beat them. I think the game plan should be the same for Rowan against Salisbury, who's only averaging 78 yards through the air a game, is to force the passing game and the quarterback to beat you in this game.
Yes, I would definitely say yes. Their 2 losses, actually, they had surrendered the ball 5 times. In one game, Dan Griffin, their senior quarterback, had 3 interceptions. He only attempted about 15 or so passes. That's what he does usually every game. He's more of a threat to run. He also had 13 fumbles lost this year, more than he had rushing touchdowns. But really, if you're going to want to win this game, you have to control the clock, and that stops with stopping that running game.
It's going to be a fast game, especially if it is a running game. If you run the ball stays on the ground, the clock goes down faster. So it's going to be a fast game. You're going to want to control the clock, and you're going to want to keep your eye on Dan Griffin too, the quarterback for Salisbury, because he is a dual threat quarterback. They have a powerful O-line, they have a powerful running back, and they have a quarterback that can run too. So it's really. They can run from all aspects of the field, and when the pocket collapses on Griffin, that's what he's going to do. He's going to take off and run, even if he's attempting to pass.
Now, like we said, the Profs were able to stop the top running game in the conference in Cortland. Ultimately ended up still losing the game, but they're going to try to do the same thing this time against the Seagulls. The only problem is they run the triple option, something that Rowan has not seen from a team this year. Certainly going to be watching a lot of film this week.
Well, definitely. I talked to Chris Alvarez today, and he's looking forward to this game. He likes the idea that they're facing a run-first offense coming from a rushing defense that only gives up 3.2 yards per carry. And he's saying mostly, it's the triple option, but, how many options can you have? And obviously the answer is 3, but, I can see where he's coming from. Once you understand how to fully stop a triple option offense, it becomes more of a gimmick than anything.
As long as you keep your eye on the pitch man, and I'm sure this is going to be covered, like you said, in film all week long. You keep your eye on the pitch man. You keep your eye on the guy he's either going to pull the ball, he's going to tuck it himself, or he's going to pitch it off to the other guy. You keep your eye on him, and you can stop the triple option. I love the triple option, but it is definitely stoppable.
I agree. I think this Rowan defense is built to stop a triple option because they are great at pursuing the football, running east-west, and they're great at doing that. I think the problem, another concern on the offensive side for Rowan is Matt Dortch and Eisenhart. Both didn't play against TCNJ. Both have been banged up throughout the year with injuries. If they're going to win this game, you would think that they have to be on the field.
I'd spoken to more players, and a lot of them were saying, they treated it like a bye week. A lot of guys that were banged up are definitely going to be, back on the field. So you can look forward to them being back out there, but it should come down to Louis Bianchini being able to control the clock if that run game is not there at first. If he's able to, not cause any turnovers, keep his cool, keep the tempo going at their pace, then they should be able to manage the game.
And a couple of days ago, they didn't even know if they were going to be playing this game before the brackets were announced. So, the seniors had the mentality that could have been their last game against TCNJ. So like you said, Bianchini and just the whole group of seniors, it's a hungry senior class. Their first time in the playoffs. This entire group of guys on the football team, their first time in the playoffs. They're going to want to do good. They're going to want to go out with a bang. It feels good to put on the white jersey one more time, and hopefully they'll be able to put it on again after this game.
And again, another factor in this game, you mentioned Louis Bianchini managing the clock, managing the game. We've seen him be real inconsistent this year. When he's good, he's been really good. Sometimes, though, when he's been bad, it's gone a bit downhill. I think the key for them is for good Louis to show up and for him to take care of the football.
Yeah, definitely. I know he was hovering around number 1 in the NJAC this year for completion percentage, which is, something that came as a bit of a surprise to, fans and whatnot. But really, he can manage a game well and efficiently as long as there's a run game there, as long as he has that balance of attack. They have variety in the game. They have Dortch running, they have Corcoran, they have Eddie Eisenhart. As long as they have all those options at hand with him, he will be able to do something.
This is a secondary that Bianchini can throw on too. The secondary, they're a solid secondary, but they're not. I wouldn't call them excellent in any way. It's a secondary that he can throw on as long as the offensive line gives him enough time to go through his reads and throw the ball where he's supposed to throw it. So.
Another key, obviously, is this game playing on the road for Rowan. And because of the sports betting legislature in the state of New Jersey and the lawsuit between the NCAA and the state of New Jersey, Rowan can't host a home game in this tournament. And it starts off with this road game against Salisbury. How does this affect them having to travel all the way down to Maryland to play this game?
It's going to be tough. It's always tough going away from home just in general. And this is a long bus ride. This is a 2.5-hour bus ride down to Maryland. It's on their home turf in playoff atmosphere. So I mean it's going to be a loud stadium. This is Salisbury's 3rd year in a row in the playoffs. So I mean they're familiar with it, and something that Rowan's not. So I think Rowan's going to need to respond well to the playoff atmosphere to not kind of let it get to them, to stay focused. But I think this senior class is a moment that they've been waiting for. So I think they'll respond well to it actually.
I think to sum it all up, I think this is a winnable game, but there's a lot of factors involved for this to be a winnable game. I think the Profs need Matt Dortch and Eisenhart on the field. They need good Louis Bianchini to show up. He needs to take care of the football. And I think that if the defense can force Dan Griffin to be the one to beat them through the air, I think the Profs certainly can win this game on the road. And with that, we take a look at your predictions. Kevin.
My prediction, I would have to go with it's going to be a low-scoring game, and in certain situations like that, for Salisbury, that would usually result in a loss. So I'm going to say 17-14 Rowan.
It's like I said, it's going to be a fast game. If Rowan can stop the run, I have all the confidence that they can win this game. I also think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I'm actually going to call it. It's going to be 14-13 Rowan. It's going to come down to something. These two evenly matched teams is going to come down to something like a botched snap on an extra point or something like that.
I think the Profs do get the job done. I say 20-14 Rowan, and they move on to the second round. They would play the winner of Widener or Bridgewater State in the second round. And we take a look now at our female athlete of the week, Allison Snyder, Allison led the women's swim team to victories over Cabrini College and Misericordia University. Versus Cabrini, she produced first-place finishes in the 200 freestyle and 100 butterfly. Schneider was the winner in the 200, 500, and 1,000 freestyles at Misericordia. She was selected the NJAC Swimmer of the Week. Our male athlete of the week is Pat Malone. Pat guided the men's swim team to a 2-0 week, a 103-62 victory over Cabrini College. He won the 50 freestyle and 100 butterfly. In Rowan's 153.5 to 101.5 win at Misericordia University, Malone was on the first place 200 medley and 400 freestyle relays. He captured first in the 100 and 200 butterflies. For his performance, Malone was named the NJAC Swimmer of the Week. Thanks again for tuning in for All Access with Profs Rowan Football coming up this weekend. We'll see you next week here on RTN.